Ladies and gentlemen, many people grow up believing that prioritizing themselves is an act of selfishness. Society often reinforces the idea that placing your own needs first is wrong, that sacrifice for others is the highest virtue, and that selflessness should be the ultimate goal. While generosity and kindness are valuable, neglecting oneself in the name of pleasing others leads to exhaustion, resentment, and a lack of fulfillment. The truth is, making yourself a priority is not an act of selfishness, it is a necessity. Without taking care of yourself first, you cannot be your best for anyone else. Consider how an exhausted person can hardly offer comfort to someone else. A person drowning in their own struggles cannot effectively help others swim. Yet many people operate this way, giving away their energy, time and attention to others while neglecting their own well-being. They take on responsibilities that are not theirs to carry, saying yes when they want to say no, sacrificing their own progress to satisfy the expectations of others. Over time, this leads to frustration, exhaustion, and a sense of being lost. Instead of feeling fulfilled, they feel used. Instead of feeling valuable, they feel invisible. The foundation of a strong life begins with a strong individual. If you do not prioritize yourself, who will? If you do not take care of your body, your mind, and your goals, no one else will do it for you. People may encourage you, but in the end, it is your responsibility to ensure that your needs are met. Many fear that putting themselves first means they are neglecting others, but this is a misunderstanding. When you take care of yourself, you actually become better at helping others. A well-rested person can think more clearly. A person who sets boundaries and respects their own time can give more meaningful attention to those they choose to help. A strong person is far more valuable to the world than a weak one who has sacrificed themselves to please others. Self-prioritization means understanding your own limits and not feeling guilty for enforcing them. Many people allow others to dictate their time, emotions, and choices, fearing that setting boundaries will make them appear selfish. However, boundaries are a sign of self-respect. They are not walls meant to shut people out, but guidelines that protect your energy and mental space. Without boundaries, people can take advantage of you, sometimes intentionally, but often without realizing it. When you continuously put others first at your own expense, you teach them that your needs do not matter. In doing so, you are not being noble. You are allowing yourself to be depleted. There is also a misconception that prioritizing oneself means being self-absorbed or indifferent to others. This is far from the truth. A person who truly values themselves does not act with arrogance, but with purpose. They do not disregard others, they simply refuse to neglect themselves. They understand that constantly seeking approval from others or living according to external expectations is an empty existence. Instead of wasting energy on pleasing everyone, they channel that energy into growth, self-discipline, and personal fulfillment. Hardships will come, and no one will endure them for you. People may offer support, but ultimately you must face your own struggles. This is why prioritizing yourself is essential. You must build resilience, discipline, and strength to navigate life's challenges. If you are constantly living for others, you may find yourself lost when difficulties arise. But if you have made yourself a priority, if you have cultivated a strong mind, a capable body, and a disciplined spirit, you will be able to withstand adversity without being easily broken. Another reason self-prioritization is necessary is that it allows for true generosity. When you take care of yourself first, you are in a better position to help others without resentment. Many people who give too much of themselves eventually burn out. They become bitter, feeling unappreciated or taken for granted. However, those who prioritize their own well-being first can give from a place of abundance, not depletion. Their help is genuine, not forced. They offer support because they want to, not because they feel obligated or pressured. People who do not prioritize themselves often feel trapped in a cycle of seeking external validation. They rely on the approval of others to feel worthy. This is a dangerous path because external validation is never guaranteed. Opinions change, expectations shift, and if your self-worth depends on how others perceive you, you will never find true stability. Instead, you must cultivate a sense of self-worth that is independent of external praise or criticism. When you prioritize yourself, you learn to validate your own efforts and progress. You begin to recognize that your value does not come from what others think of you, but from the person you are becoming through your own discipline and commitment. In a world that constantly demands your attention, distractions are everywhere. People, Social media, obligations, and external pressures pull you in different directions. If you do not take control of your own time and focus, you will be swept away by the demands of others. Prioritizing yourself means recognizing that your goals matter. It means taking ownership of your time and refusing to let distractions steal your energy. It is about making the difficult choices, saying no when necessary, stepping away from things that drain you, and investing in activities that bring you closer to your goals. Prioritizing yourself is also an act of self-respect. If you do not respect your own needs, why should others? If you constantly neglect yourself, you teach others to do the same. But when you set clear standards for how you treat yourself, people begin to treat you accordingly. You attract relationships that are built on mutual respect rather than imbalance. You create an environment where you are valued for who you are, not just for what you can provide for others. At the core of self-prioritization is the simple truth that your life is your responsibility. No one else will live it for you. No one else will endure your struggles, chase your dreams, or bear the consequences of your choices. You alone must take ownership of your growth, your happiness, and your success. When you make yourself a priority, you give yourself the best chance at living a fulfilled and meaningful life, one where you are not merely existing for others, but thriving for yourself. Life is full of uncertainties. No matter how much we plan, how hard we try, or how much effort we put into controlling every aspect of our lives, there will always be elements beyond our reach. The actions of others, the unfolding of unexpected events, the way people perceive us, these are all things we cannot fully control. However, what we can control is how we respond, how we think, and how we choose to move forward in the face of uncertainty. The ability to differentiate between what is within our power and what is not is one of the most important skills a person can develop. It reduces frustration, eliminates unnecessary suffering, and allows us to focus our energy where it truly matters. Many people waste countless hours worrying about things that are completely outside their influence. They become consumed by thoughts of how others view them, what the future may bring, or what could have been if they had made different choices. This type of thinking does nothing but drain mental energy and create unnecessary anxiety. Worrying does not change the outcome of events, it only magnifies distress. When a person learns to shift their focus from what they cannot control to what they can, they experience a newfound sense of peace and purpose. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to change others. They invest time and effort in attempting to alter someone's behavior, opinions, or attitudes. But no matter how much persuasion, argument, or influence is applied, people will only change if they choose to do so. Trying to force change upon another person leads to frustration and disappointment. Instead, focusing on one's own actions and mindset is far more productive. The only true power anyone has is over their own behavior and choices. If someone disrespects you, you cannot control their actions, but you can control your response. You can choose to set boundaries, remove yourself from toxic situations, and refuse to engage in negativity. Similarly, many people become fixated on the past. They dwell on mistakes, missed opportunities, and things that did not go as planned. But no amount of regret will change the past. The past is unchangeable, no matter how much we wish we could rewrite it. The only thing within our control is the present moment, what we do with the time we have right now. Instead of obsessing over what has already happened, energy should be directed toward what can be done moving forward. Every day presents a new opportunity to make better choices, to grow, and to shape the future in a way that aligns with our goals and values. External circumstances are another area where control is often an illusion. The world is unpredictable. Natural disasters, economic shifts, sudden changes in health, these things happen regardless of our desires. If a storm arrives, complaining about the rain will not stop it. If a company downsizes, worrying about being laid off does not prevent it from happening. Instead, the focus should be on what can be done in response. Can preparations be made? Can alternative plans be developed? Can one adapt to the situation in a way that minimizes negative impact? Those who learn to adjust and remain flexible in the face of unforeseen challenges are far more likely to navigate difficulties successfully than those who resist and fight against things they cannot change. Expectations of others often create unnecessary suffering. People expect fairness, kindness, and reciprocity, But the world does not operate according to personal expectations. Not everyone will appreciate kindness. Not every effort will be rewarded. Not every good deed will be acknowledged. Holding on to the belief that things should always go a certain way leads to frustration when reality does not align with expectations. Instead of expecting fairness, people must learn to accept life as it is and adapt accordingly. When someone treats you poorly, you may not be able to control their behavior, but you can control how you react. You can walk away, maintain your dignity, and refuse to let their negativity affect your inner peace. One of the greatest strengths a person can develop is emotional control. Emotions are natural, but letting them dictate actions can lead to unnecessary suffering. Anger, frustration, and sadness often arise from trying to control things that cannot be controlled. If someone insults you, you cannot prevent their words from being spoken, but you can control whether you let those words affect your sense of self-worth. If a plan falls apart, you cannot change the circumstances, but you can decide whether to dwell on disappointment or seek an alternative solution. Developing emotional discipline means choosing not to be ruled by external events. It means refusing to give power to things outside of personal control. Another crucial aspect of this mindset is letting go of the need for approval. Many people spend their lives trying to please others, seeking validation, and worrying about what others think. But opinions are beyond control. No matter how much effort is put into gaining approval, there will always be someone who disagrees, disapproves, or misunderstands. Instead of chasing external validation, the focus should be on living in alignment with personal values. The only approval that truly matters is the one a person gives themselves. Letting go of control does not mean being passive. It does not mean giving up or avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing where energy is best spent. Effort should be directed toward things that can be influenced: personal habits, self-discipline, and mindset. Growth comes from focusing on what can be improved rather than lamenting what cannot be changed. Time and energy are limited resources, and wasting them on uncontrollable factors only leads to exhaustion. When faced with challenges, the question should not be, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What can I do about it?" Shifting perspective from victimhood to action creates a sense of empowerment. Instead of feeling helpless in the face of difficulty, a person who focuses on their own actions and responses maintains control over their own destiny. There is great freedom in letting go of what cannot be controlled. It removes unnecessary burdens, eliminates frustration, and creates space for growth. Life will never be entirely within our grasp, but by choosing to focus on what is within our power, we can navigate it with strength and resilience. Life is full of hardships. No one is exempt from struggle, and no one moves through life without encountering obstacles. These difficulties come in many forms: personal loss, failure, rejection, disappointment, and unexpected challenges. In moments of hardship, it is easy to feel as if the world is against us, as if every difficulty is a setback meant to slow us down or hold us back. However, this perspective only leads to frustration and despair. The truth is that hardships are not setbacks, they are tests. They are opportunities for growth, resilience, and self-discovery. Every challenge faced is a lesson, a moment where we are given the chance to prove to ourselves how strong we really are. When people view hardships as setbacks, they adopt a mindset of defeat. They see obstacles as barriers rather than stepping stones. They feel that every failure is proof of inadequacy, and that every struggle is a reason to give up. But hardship is not a punishment, it is a lesson. It is a teacher that forces us to adapt, to think differently, to develop patience, and to build resilience. Without challenges, there is no growth. Without difficulties, there is no opportunity to improve. Those who succeed are not the ones who never face hardships, but the ones who learn to see difficulties as a necessary part of progress. One of the most powerful ways to view hardship is to see it as a test of character. When everything is going well, it is easy to be positive, disciplined, and motivated. But when life becomes difficult, that is when true character is revealed. A person who only remains strong when things are easy has not truly developed inner strength. It is in moments of struggle that discipline is tested, patience is developed, and mental fortitude is strengthened. Every difficulty faced is an opportunity to prove one's own resilience. The person who refuses to break under pressure becomes unshakable, not because they are immune to hardship, but because they have learned to endure it. Hardships also force people to adapt. When life does not go as planned, it pushes individuals to think differently, to be resourceful, and to find solutions they never considered before. Many people who achieve great things do so, not because they avoided hardships, but because they learned how to navigate them. They understood that obstacles were not signs to stop but challenges to overcome. When one path is blocked, another can be found. When one plan fails, a new strategy can be developed. This adaptability is what allows people to move forward rather than remain stuck. There is a tendency to view failure as something negative, as a sign of inadequacy or a reason to quit. However, failure is simply another form of hardship, a test designed to push a person beyond their current limits. Every failure contains a lesson, and those who learn from their failures rather than being defeated by them grow stronger as a result. The most successful individuals are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They see each setback as an opportunity to learn, to refine their approach, and to come back stronger. Enduring hardship also builds self-confidence. Every time a person overcomes a difficulty, they prove to themselves that they are capable. Confidence does not come from an easy life, it comes from knowing that no matter what happens, one has the ability to handle it. This is why those who have faced great difficulties often develop unshakable belief in themselves. They have been tested by life, and they have emerged stronger. They no longer fear hardship because they know they have the resilience to face it. Another aspect of hardship is that it exposes weaknesses, and this is not a bad thing. Many people go through life unaware of their own limitations until they are forced to confront them. Hardships reveal what needs to be improved, whether it is a lack of discipline, emotional control, or problem-solving skills. Challenges show where growth is needed. Those who embrace these lessons rather than resist them become better, stronger, and more capable individuals. Instead of fearing hardship, they begin to welcome it as an opportunity to refine themselves. Pain and struggle are inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Hardship in itself is not what breaks people. It is their perception of hardship that determines the outcome. When difficulty is seen as a curse, it feels unbearable. But when it is seen as a test, as a necessary part of growth, it becomes something meaningful. It becomes a challenge to rise to rather than an obstacle to fear. The mind is a powerful tool, and the way hardship is perceived determines whether it strengthens or weakens a person. One of the greatest misconceptions about hardship is that it is unfair. People often ask, "Why me?" when facing difficulties, as if struggle is something that should not exist. But hardship is not a punishment, it is a universal experience. Every person, no matter how privileged or fortunate they may seem, will face struggles. No one is immune to pain, loss, or failure. The difference is in how people choose to respond. Some allow hardships to define them, to make them bitter and resentful. Others use hardships as fuel to grow stronger, wiser, and more determined. Difficulties also teach patience. In a world that demands instant results, hardship forces people to slow down, to endure, and to trust the process. Many great achievements take time, and struggles often arise, not to stop progress, but to test whether a person is truly committed to their goals. Those who persist despite difficulties develop an unshakable mindset, one that is not easily discouraged by temporary setbacks. They understand that growth is not immediate, and that strength is built over time through repeated challenges. Hardship reveals what truly matters. When people face difficulties, they often gain clarity about their priorities. They realize what is worth their time and energy, and what is not. Struggles strip away distractions and force people to focus on what is truly important. In this way, hardship serves as a guide, helping individuals align their actions with their values and goals. Ultimately, hardships are not meant to hold people back, but to push them forward. They exist to test resilience, to build character, and to prepare individuals for greater challenges ahead. Those who learn to see hardships as tests rather than setbacks unlock a level of strength and wisdom that cannot be gained through comfort alone. Struggle is not the enemy, it is the forge in which true strength is created. Many people spend their lives seeking validation from others. They work tirelessly not because they truly want to improve themselves, but because they want recognition, praise or approval. They measure their success by how others perceive them, constantly chasing external validation rather than focusing on their own growth. While it is natural to want acknowledgement, basing one's efforts on the approval of others is a dangerous path. True fulfillment comes from working hard for oneself, not for validation. The moment a person shifts their focus from impressing others to genuinely improving themselves, they gain freedom, self-respect, and lasting motivation. When someone works for validation, they become a prisoner of external opinions. Their efforts are not driven by personal ambition but by the fear of judgment or the desire for admiration. This creates an endless cycle where they constantly seek recognition, yet never feel satisfied. No amount of external approval will ever be enough because validation from others is fleeting. People's opinions change, admiration fades, and if one's sense of accomplishment is tied to external praise, then their motivation will always be unstable. When validation is the goal, failure feels unbearable because it threatens self-worth. However, when a person works hard for their own growth, failure becomes a lesson rather than a personal defeat. A person who works for validation often sacrifices their own desires and values just to meet expectations. They choose careers, lifestyles, or goals based on what will gain approval rather than what truly fulfills them. This leads to emptiness, because no matter how much success they achieve, it does not feel meaningful if it is not aligned with their own passions. Working hard should be about self-improvement, about becoming stronger, smarter, and more capable, not about proving worth to others. The moment someone starts working for themselves, they regain control over their life. They stop making choices based on fear of judgment and start pursuing what genuinely matters to them. Hard work fueled by personal ambition is sustainable. When people work for validation, their motivation is fragile. The moment admiration disappears, so does their drive. But when effort is rooted in self-discipline and self-respect, it remains steady. No applause is needed, no external approval is required, because the satisfaction comes from within. This is why the strongest individuals are those who do not seek recognition. They are not concerned with being seen or admired. They are focused on their own growth, constantly pushing themselves not because they want praise, but because they want to become better. Another danger of working for validation is that it makes people dependent on comparison. Instead of measuring their progress against their past self, they compare themselves to others. This creates insecurity and dissatisfaction, because there will always be someone more successful, more talented, or more admired. External validation forces people into a competition that is both endless and meaningless. But when someone works for themselves, the only comparison that matters is between who they were yesterday and who they are today. Every bit of progress, no matter how small, becomes meaningful because it is based on personal growth rather than external recognition. The strongest and most fulfilled individuals are those who remain committed to their goals even when no one is watching. They do not need an audience to validate their efforts. They push themselves in silence, knowing that real success does not come from being seen. It comes from consistent discipline, resilience, and self-respect. These individuals understand that self-worth is not something given by others. It is something built through effort, perseverance, and a commitment to personal excellence. When work is driven by external validation, self-esteem becomes fragile. A single failure, a single criticism, or a lack of recognition can shatter confidence. But when work is driven by personal growth, failure is no longer feared. Mistakes become valuable experiences, and criticism becomes an opportunity to improve. No one can take away self-worth when it is built from within. This is why those who work for themselves, rather than for approval, develop an unshakable sense of confidence. They do not rely on others to feel valuable. They know their worth because they have earned it through discipline and effort. It is easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation, especially in a world where social media and public recognition play such a large role. Many people measure success based on likes, followers, and external praise, but these things are temporary. They do not reflect real effort or real growth. A person who focuses on self-improvement does not need public recognition. They do not chase trends or seek admiration. Instead, they focus on developing skills, gaining knowledge, and strengthening their discipline. They understand that true success is internal. It is not about being noticed, but about becoming someone they are proud of. Hard work is not about proving something to others, it is about proving something to yourself. It is about pushing past limits, overcoming obstacles, and seeing what you are truly capable of. It is about looking back and knowing that every ounce of effort was for your own benefit, not for the approval of others. When a person embraces this mindset, they become unstoppable. Their motivation does not fade because it is not dependent on external validation. It comes from a deep internal drive to become the best version of themselves. The most powerful individuals are those who no longer seek validation. They do not need to announce their achievements, nor do they require approval to feel successful. They are disciplined when no one is watching. They stay committed to their goals even when there is no applause. This is true strength, the ability to work hard, not for recognition, but for personal growth. The moment someone shifts from working for validation to working for themselves, they experience true freedom. They are no longer controlled by external opinions, and they no longer need anyone else to tell them they are enough, because they already know. Emotions are an essential part of the human experience. They allow people to connect, to feel joy, to experience love, and to find meaning in life. However, emotions can also be a source of great suffering when they are allowed to dominate reasoning and decision-making. While emotions are natural and unavoidable, they should not be the driving force behind one's actions, especially when important choices are at stake. When emotions cloud judgment, they lead to impulsive actions, poor decisions, and unnecessary suffering. Detachment from emotions does not mean ignoring or suppressing them. It means maintaining control over them, rather than letting them control you. It means recognizing emotions for what they are, temporary states of mind, not absolute truths. One of the primary ways emotions cloud judgment is through impulsivity. When people make decisions based purely on emotions, they often act in ways they later regret. Anger, frustration, fear, or even excitement can lead to choices that are not well thought out. A person may say something hurtful in anger, make a rash financial decision out of fear, or trust someone too quickly because of excitement. In each of these cases, the lack of detachment from emotion leads to actions that can have long-term negative consequences. However, when emotions are acknowledged but not allowed to take control, a person can respond with clarity and wisdom rather than react impulsively. Emotions can also distort perception. When a person is overwhelmed by strong feelings, they often see situations through a biased lens rather than objectively. Fear makes challenges seem bigger than they are. Sadness makes the future seem hopeless, and anger makes conflict seem more severe. These emotional distortions prevent logical analysis and lead to exaggerated reactions. Someone who is afraid of failure might convince themselves they are incapable of success, even when they have the skills and opportunities to succeed. Someone experiencing heartbreak might believe they will never find happiness again, even though life constantly changes. By detaching from these emotions, a person can see reality more clearly and make choices based on facts rather than distorted perceptions. Another way emotions cloud judgment is through attachment to outcomes. Many people make decisions based on what feels comfortable or safe rather than what is truly best for them. They stay in toxic relationships because of emotional attachment, avoid necessary risks out of fear, or refuse to accept change because they are emotionally tied to the past. These attachments prevent growth and keep people trapped in situations that do not serve them. When emotions are detached from decision-making, a person can evaluate situations based on logic and long-term benefits, rather than temporary feelings. They can recognize that even though change is uncomfortable, it is often necessary for progress. Detaching from emotions does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means creating a space between emotions and actions, allowing oneself to feel without being controlled by those feelings. This requires self-awareness and discipline. It involves observing emotions as they arise, acknowledging them without judgment, and then choosing a response based on reason rather than impulse. When faced with a difficult situation, instead of reacting immediately, one can take a step back, assess the situation with a clear mind, and act in a way that aligns with their long-term goals and values. One of the most destructive emotions that cloud judgment is anger. Anger is powerful and can make people feel justified in their reactions, but decisions made in anger are often regrettable. Many conflicts escalate not because of the original problem but because of the way people react to their emotions. Words spoken in anger can damage relationships beyond repair, and actions taken in the heat of the moment can lead to unnecessary consequences. However, when a person learns to detach from anger, they can handle conflicts with calmness and wisdom. They can choose to respond rather than react, preventing unnecessary suffering for themselves and others. Fear is another emotion that distorts judgment. Fear often prevents people from taking necessary risks, trying new things, or stepping outside their comfort zones. It convinces them that they are not capable, that they will fail, or that change will only bring suffering. However, most fears are based on worst-case scenarios rather than reality. When a person detaches from fear, they can analyze risks logically rather than emotionally. They can recognize that failure is a part of growth, that challenges are opportunities, and that most fears exist only in the mind. By removing fear from decision-making, people can take action with confidence and clarity. Similarly, excessive attachment to happiness can cloud judgment. When people chase pleasure at all costs, they often make short-term decisions that lead to long-term suffering. They seek immediate gratification rather than considering what is truly best for them. This can lead to unhealthy habits, financial irresponsibility, or avoidance of necessary challenges. True fulfillment comes not from constant pleasure, but from making wise decisions that create long-term stability and growth. When a person detaches from the need for immediate happiness, they can focus on what truly matters rather than being controlled by fleeting desires. Emotional detachment is especially important in high-pressure situations. Leaders, decision-makers, and those in positions of responsibility must learn to separate emotions from logic to make sound choices. Whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, the ability to remain calm and objective in stressful situations is a valuable skill. Those who let emotions drive their actions are often inconsistent, reactive, and easily manipulated. Those who practice detachment, however, remain steady and reliable, making decisions based on wisdom rather than temporary feelings. Developing emotional detachment requires practice. It begins with self-awareness, the ability to recognize emotions as they arise without immediately acting on them. It involves questioning emotional reactions, asking whether they are based on reality or on distorted perceptions. It requires patience, as emotional habits take time to change. Techniques such as mindfulness, meditation, and deep breathing can help create space between emotion and action, allowing for more rational responses. Over time, detachment becomes second nature, leading to greater emotional stability and clearer judgment. When emotions no longer control decisions, life becomes more peaceful. Challenges are faced with a level head, relationships improve due to thoughtful responses rather than impulsive reactions, and personal growth accelerates as one is no longer held back by fear, anger, or attachment. Detachment from emotions does not mean losing the ability to feel. It means gaining control over those feelings rather than being controlled by them. It means allowing emotions to inform decisions without allowing them to dictate actions. Those who master this skill gain a powerful advantage in life, as they are no longer slaves to their emotions, but masters of their own minds. Resilience is not an innate trait that some people are born with and others are not. It is a skill developed over time, built through effort, discipline, and the commitment to continuous improvement. Many people think of resilience as the ability to withstand hardship, but it is much more than that. True resilience is not just about enduring difficulties, it is about growing through them, learning from failures and emerging stronger with each challenge faced. The key to resilience lies in continuous improvement, the ongoing pursuit of becoming better every day. When a person commits to self-growth, they develop the strength to adapt, the mindset to overcome obstacles, and the ability to thrive in any situation. Every challenge faced in life is an opportunity to improve. People who view hardships as setbacks often struggle with resilience because they see difficulties as obstacles rather than stepping stones. However, those who commit to continuous improvement understand that each challenge is a lesson, a test that helps refine skills, build character, and strengthen mental fortitude. Instead of avoiding discomfort, they embrace it as a necessary part of growth. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, it is about learning from it and using it to become stronger. A person who continuously improves does not fear setbacks, because they see every difficulty as a chance to develop further. Growth requires effort. Many people desire resilience, but they do not put in the work to develop it. They expect to become strong without pushing their limits, without challenging themselves, without facing discomfort. But resilience is built through repeated effort, through constantly striving to improve skills, knowledge, and mindset. Those who commit to self-improvement do not wait for life to get easier. They work on themselves so that they can handle life's difficulties more effectively. They train their minds and bodies, refine their problem-solving skills, and push beyond their comfort zones. Over time, this continuous effort makes them unshakable. One of the reasons continuous improvement is the key to resilience is that it creates adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and those who are unable to adapt struggle when circumstances change. People who are rigid in their thinking, who resist growth, or who rely on outdated skills often find themselves overwhelmed when faced with unexpected challenges. However, those who prioritize continuous improvement are always learning, always evolving, and always preparing themselves for whatever comes next. They do not cling to old ways of thinking or outdated habits. They remain open to change, willing to learn new skills, and ready to adjust their approach. This adaptability makes them more resilient because no matter what happens, they are prepared to respond effectively. Another reason why continuous improvement strengthens resilience is that it builds confidence. When people put in the effort to improve themselves daily, they develop trust in their own abilities. Confidence does not come from avoiding challenges, it comes from facing them head-on and proving to oneself that they can be handled. A person who has consistently worked on improving their skills, expanding their knowledge, and strengthening their mindset develops the belief that they can overcome anything. This self-assurance is crucial for resilience because it prevents fear from taking over in difficult moments. Instead of doubting themselves, they face challenges with certainty, knowing that they have spent time preparing for adversity. Continuous improvement also helps people develop emotional resilience. Many struggles in life are not physical or external but internal. Emotional resilience is the ability to remain calm, composed, and focused even in the face of stress, fear, or disappointment. People who do not actively work on emotional growth often find themselves overwhelmed by their emotions when hardships arise. They let fear dictate their decisions, allow stress to consume them, and become discouraged when things do not go as planned. However, those who commit to continuous self-improvement understand that emotional strength must be cultivated. They practice self-awareness, learn to manage their emotions, and develop strategies to stay composed under pressure. Over time, this makes them more resilient, as they no longer allow emotions to control them. A key aspect of continuous improvement is learning from failure. Many people view failure as a reason to quit, but those who understand the importance of growth see failure as feedback. They do not let mistakes define them. They analyze them, extract lessons, and apply those lessons to improve. Resilient individuals do not fear failure because they recognize it as an essential part of progress. Every failure is a chance to refine skills, adjust strategies, and become better prepared for the future. This mindset prevents discouragement and ensures that no setback is ever wasted. Continuous improvement also builds discipline, which is an essential component of resilience. Life is filled with challenges that require patience, perseverance, and consistent effort. Those who lack discipline often struggle when faced with difficulties because they do not have the mental strength to keep pushing forward. However, people who make self-improvement a habit develop the ability to stay focused even when things are tough. They train themselves to persist, to show up every day, and to keep working even when they do not feel motivated. This discipline is what allows them to endure hardships without giving up. Another reason why continuous improvement leads to resilience is that it helps people develop a long-term perspective. Many struggles feel overwhelming because people focus too much on immediate discomfort rather than the bigger picture. However, those who prioritize self-growth understand that setbacks are temporary and that progress is a long-term journey. They do not get discouraged by short-term difficulties because they know that every challenge is an opportunity to move forward. This ability to see beyond the present moment helps them remain resilient even in the face of adversity. Resilience is not something that is built overnight. It is developed through small, consistent efforts over time. People who are truly resilient did not become strong because they avoided hardships. They became strong because they continuously worked on themselves. They put in the effort to improve their skills, expand their knowledge, and strengthen their mindset. They remained disciplined, learned from failures, and adapted to changing circumstances. Because of this, they became unshakable, capable of facing any challenge with confidence. Those who commit to continuous improvement do not just survive hardships, they grow through them. They understand that resilience is not about enduring suffering, but about using difficulties as opportunities for self-betterment. They are not content with staying the same. They push themselves to evolve, to become wiser, and to increase their capacity to handle life's challenges. The more they grow, the stronger they become. And because of this, they do not fear adversity, they embrace it as part of the journey toward becoming the best version of themselves. Resilience is not a gift, it is a choice, a commitment to continuous improvement, to learning, adapting, and growing stronger with every challenge faced. Those who dedicate themselves to self-betterment develop an unshakable foundation, one that allows them to navigate hardship with confidence rather than fear. They do not break under pressure because they have trained themselves to withstand and overcome. They do not retreat in the face of failure because they understand that failure is a stepping stone to success. The path to resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about embracing them as opportunities to evolve. Every setback, every struggle, and every moment of adversity is a chance to refine skills, strengthen character, and push beyond limitations. True resilience comes from the decision to never remain stagnant, to always strive for growth, to always seek improvement, and to always rise stronger than before. So, commit to that journey. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing forward. Because the more you improve yourself, the more resilient you become, and the more capable you are of facing whatever life throws your way.